please remove the words mental health from everything. I know you want to have mental health month, mental health week, all that kind of stuff. Please remove it. There is generations worth of stigma that is fighting against you. So let's use something else. Let's use Confidence Week. Let's use something, anything else, right? Rather than focusing on the problem, let's focus on what the solution is.
Yeah, the after state, right?
Yeah.
G'day and welcome to the Choosing Your Uni podcast. I'm your host, Rob Malicki, coming today from somewhere a little bit different. I'm on Wurundjeri country of the Kulin Nation in Melbourne. It's a beautiful day here in Melbourne, although, as they say in Melbourne, 4 seasons in one day. Beautiful blue sky this morning. Today the wind's picked up, and I'm sitting at Fed Square with somebody that you really need to get to know. This is a very special lady. Her name is Anita Van Rooyen. Anita, thanks for joining me on the podcast.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here.
So, Anita, you seem to have a lot of confidence. Did you always have this, energy, zazz?
Oh, so no. I used to be the shyest person in the universe. Really too scared to do anything, didn't have a lot of friends, could never put myself out there. Just the answer to anything and everything was no before there was even a question asked. So, yeah, no, definitely this is a recent thing.
What changed for you?
I think, you know how you have those moments of boof, where something happens and there was this moment and it was like a lightning bolt hit the back of my brain and said, Anita, if nothing changes, nothing changes. And if you don't start doing something different, then you are going to be a shy, reserved, lonely person for only the rest of your life. And that's a long time.
It is a long time, isn't it?
Yeah. My dad and my sister, super confident, super just could go out and speak to anybody. My mum and I, way more on the shy side, and I was always kind of jealous of my dad and sister for having that. And it meant that I became very angry at the confidence fairy because I kind of figured that she missed out on me and the magic wand of digging me with confidence. So I was kind of angry, waiting for the confidence fairy to show up, and she never did.
And so what changed in that moment?
It was one of those epiphany moments where I had to do something different and I didn't know what. So it ended up kind of being what I now call the cha-cha of personal development. You know, you take 2 steps forward, one back, sideways, all that kind of thing. Trying different things to get an outcome of confidence. And I had no idea how to do it, but I knew that I had to do something different. So I tried a whole lot of different stuff. One of my favoritist, I think that's a word, one of my favoritist things was just being brave for a second and talking to people that I figured that I would never, ever meet again. Because then I realised it didn't matter if I made a complete idiot of myself. I'd never see them again, so it doesn't matter. I can just go up to random people and ask them things, or when I'm waiting in the line at the supermarket, just start a conversation with anything. And most people actually want to talk. Not everybody, but most.
It's kind of funny, isn't it? Like once you actually start looking at life that way, just how much doors start opening all over the place, don't they?
Opportunities are literally everywhere. I have got people that I call my train friends because I used to see them at the train station every day. We'd catch the same train home at the same door, all that kind of stuff, and they became my train friends just simply because I had that momentary lapse of shyness and embraced courage and went, I'm just going to say something.
The way you just said that was beautiful. A momentary lapse in my shyness.
Yeah. I think humans are naturally not shy. I think we learn shyness or we inherit it, but I think our natural state is actually confident. So it's how do we then, if we are a shy person, how do we reverse that back to a natural state of confidence?
So I can't wait to get into sort of some of the details of that. But if we can back up for a second, where did you discover your shyness then?
Where?
Yeah.
It just seemed to be like this cloud of heaviness around me all the time. I don't remember really being not shy. I mean, I think I probably was. Moving from, we used to live in the country in regional Victoria, moving from the country to the city when I was young, that really, really, really solidified my shyness.
Where did you grow up?
In Bright, in northeast
wow,
Victoria.
Beautiful part of country. Very
magnificent, glorious. My next door neighbour, we had no fences and we just walk in and out of the, neighbours' doors and all that kind of stuff. Shout out to the two Allisons, who are my best friends. And leaving there, and we left like part way through the year, kind of 3/4 of the way through the year. And so I just was like, I arrived at school and was like, I don't know anybody. Nobody knows me. Everybody's got their friends. I don't know how to make friends. Because we're not taught how to do that, right? Like, we're not taught how to make friends. It just sort of happens when you're at school oftentimes. And so that absolutely, any tiny bit of confidence I had kind of got slaughtered at that point.
I can't wait to talk more about what you're working on with student confidence, but maybe let's explore a little bit more of your journey. So after you had that epiphany and you went down that rabbit hole of trying to find an answer, what was the first thing that you came across where you were like, something went click and you went, interesting?
Oh, I tried a lot of different things. I went and saw a counsellor, different therapists. I have got, let's just say, a number of shelf-development books. And I say shelf-development, not self-development, because, you get them and you go, yeah, this is probably, okay, put on the shelf and never look at it again, right? So I think the thing that really changed for me was after having that epiphany moment was, I don't even know if there was one thing. I think it was just a whole lot of little tiny micro steps and changes. I remember doing this program with my mum, and it was this book that I saw on Oprah because, Oprah was the greatest. I remember I'd taken a day off sick. I don't even remember if I was sick, but I took a sickie. And this book was on Oprah and it was called Life Makeover. And it was a book that had 52 chapters in it, and every chapter was a little bit of content and then a challenge. And some of those challenges were easy, some of them were difficult. But there was one that I remember, and I still do it to this day, is going up to random people who are just doing their job and thanking them for doing their job. Totally transformed them, but also totally transformed me in the meantime. So you'd go up to someone who at cleaning a train station or at a food court, who, it's generally a low-paid job. They don't get much support, much notice, anything like that. And just going up to them and saying, I just want to thank you. The food court here is really lovely, and it's because of you, and thank you so much. And the change in people's faces when you say that, and then the feeling that you get from that was so overwhelmingly beautiful that it meant that then talking to people wasn't about me, it was about them. That was such a game changer.
That's a beautiful one. Just recently I stumbled across just that, right? And I call it never walking past a compliment. You see somebody with awesome shoes, tell them they've got awesome shoes. Yeah, somebody that's helped you out, that you see somebody doing something awesome, just tell them, hey, that was awesome what you did there. And makes you feel amazing, right?
Totally.
Makes them feel amazing
Makes them feel amazing too. Like, we talk about win-win. This is ultimate win-win, right? And it's really funny because sometimes I know when I've given a comment in passing, and it takes a moment for the person to click that you've actually given them a compliment, because people are very quick to say something awful. Yep. So, they're very quick to say something awful, but when you are giving a compliment, then they're really challenged. It's really difficult to receive a compliment sometimes, and they don't realise that it's a compliment until you've taken 4 steps, and then they turn around and look at you and give you this amazing smile, and it's the greatest feeling ever. So
those people listening along, really tactically, are you like walking and dropping the compliment bomb and then getting out of there? You're not hanging around to have a chat. Sometimes
it's a walk and go, and then other times it's a walk and stand, like a compliment and stand. Yeah?
Yeah.
And it depends on the person, the situation, all that kind of stuff. It depends on if I'm in a hurry as well, right?
True, yeah.
Because you can drop the compliment bomb and go away, and the impact is still there, and that feeling for me is still there also, because I know the impact that it's going to have on them.
I love that because it's just so actionable, and Do you find that it's like a cumulative thing? The more you do that, the more it becomes like a muscle, right? That you're constantly flexing.
100%. I look all the time. As you said, you can find opportunities when you start looking for them. And the more you look for them, the more they're there. It just reinforces it. There's this part of your brain called the RAS, reticular activating system, and that helps you focus on what it is you want to focus on. Like when you look at your Instagram feed, that shows you what you like, right? Because Instagram is showing you more of the things that it knows that you already like, that you've shown interest in. It's like that in your brain, this reticular activating system. So the opportunities are everywhere if we look for them. And it doesn't take long for your brain to catch on to that. And the endorphins kick in because, oh my God, I've got this great feeling because I gave that person a great feeling. It's all great. Oh, amazing.
When did you decide that this is what you wanted to do then, like for work? And why young people as well? Like, why students?
I didn't start with working with young people. I started working with dancers and performers, which was great, but it wasn't changing lives. And I knew, and I've been doing coaching with adults and stuff, and that's great. But, when you're talking to people that are 40, 50, whatever, it's really different to changing people's lives when they're 15, 18, 20, early 20s, because they've got the whole rest of their life that impacts. And that is like when you can have that moment, and like I'm 53, right? So that moment you go, I am helping create a better society. I am helping to create humans that have got more empathy, more connection, more all of those good things. Let's do that at the youngest age possible that has the greatest impact over lives. Because then if young people are doing well, they do well in their studies, in their work, in their relationships, a whole lot of societal problems are then dealt with, because you don't have violence against women if people understand that we're all connected as humans, right? That you can actually have healthy ways of having conversation and disagreement and all that kind of stuff rather than just punching it out. Right.
Let's talk a little bit about student confidence then. So where did the idea for this sort of come about? And then what are you guys working on at the moment?
It came about by accident. As I said, I was working with dancers and performers, wasn't loving it, decided not to work with them but didn't know who I wanted to work with. So I was meditating because I started meditating, never thought that would happen, and asked myself, why did I start this in the beginning? Why did I want to do coaching? Why did I want to understand human behaviour in the beginning? And it all came back to I want to help people with life skills. And it was from there that I knew that this had to be something fun and awesome and amazing, because students are all of those three things. I mean, people are in general, but students in particular. And there's so much pressure put on students that I think we forget to have fun. We forget how awesome we are. We forget those things, and we are those things. And so starting this business, I wanted to have that as my true north kind of thing. What was really the most brilliant thing ever was I remember when I was just starting the business and I went to a public lecture at a very prestigious university in Melbourne to a public lecture about adolescent brain health. And the lecturer was there doing the lectury thing. And I remember walking out of that going, this is the blueprint of exactly what I don't want my business to be.
Oh, I can do a demo. So the professor
Please.
went, blah, 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 yeah, yeah, blah, 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 monotone, blah, 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 blah.
It was exactly that. And it was very convincing. Like, the guy had a pocket protector.
Love it.
There was death by PowerPoint, monotone. I think you had too much melody in your blah, blah, blahs. It was very monotone. It was like, it wouldn't have mattered if we were there or not.
Can I be honest? Like, I did an online presentation for a group of school kids and their parents about a week ago, and a couple of parents wrote in and complained to this particular group, person who coordinated it, saying that I told too many stories.
Oh.
I know.
Oh, there's no such thing.
Wow. I was like, wow, okay, cool. And look, to be fair, like, expectations, right? Like, clearly it just wasn't what they expecting for me to just be riffing off. And I was just thinking of the students on the other side of
who
that
were
presentation.
loving every second of it.
I'll tell you what, the conversion rates on it were absolutely phenomenal.
Of course they were. Of course they were.
There you go. Expectations.
Parents have forgotten that learning happens in a space of joy and fun. And storytelling is the most powerful way of learning.
All right, so since it's come up, storytelling, what are your tricks? If you got thrown in front of 30 students... Actually, firstly, before we get to the tactic about storytelling, what do you reckon young you would have thought about being thrown in front of a group of 30 or 40
she would have died. She would have died on the spot. Like, I remember the first time I had to do a presentation for work, sweaty hand person. So my hands were like disgustingly drippy, sweaty, hot, all of that kind of thing. And I remember talking so incredibly fast just to get through it because I just wanted to get to the end and I didn't care if people knew what I was talking about or not. I just... Thank you, bye. And that was it. I think old Anita would be shocked, surprised and delighted that I can now get up without notice and just talk and share stuff. And I think every time we're talking to people is an opportunity to share something amazing about other people, about yourself, about somewhere you've been or anything. But that storytelling is so powerful, and metaphors and all that stuff. I love it.
Let's go there. So, because this is relevant to every human being
for sure
on Earth, pretty much. You walk into a room, someone's like, oh, Anita, great, you're here. We've got 30 or 40 people for you to talk to. Where does your mind go? What are some of the, like, I want to call it tactics, but you and I know it's deeper than tactics. But what are some of the things that you would immediately start to try to bring in to make that a really engaging experience?
Oh, I mean, my first thing is immediately don't go where old mate professor was. What would I do? I think it's really about, like, what is it that we're trying to get across to the audience, number one, depending if there is a particular topic or anything. And I love having things to be really interactive. So how do we bring students, audience into the conversation and get them to be part of it as well? Because, I mean, I use the word awesomeness a lot because I think we all have it. And audiences have awesomeness. And when they are engaged in those presentations, when they are engaged in that, then they want to be part of it because they are part of it. So I think there's that. I think there's all of those elements of how can you leave people with even one thing that then is helpful for them in a really super practical way. Because if there's stuff that you have to go away and research or test and do this and do that for it to be useful and helpful, it's not that helpful. Right? What are the things, even those small incremental things that you can take away, do something and just go out and do it, just use it straight away.
Okay, so we've been talking about, what you would do walking into a room to, present to a group of strangers, but what about people listening in terms of some actionable things that they could do to feel more confident in themselves, whether that's making a presentation, meeting new people, fill in the blank?
Yeah, I think one of the greatest things that I have learned is that confidence comes after taking action.
Yes.
Right? I was waiting for the confidence fairy, as I said, for many, many, many decades, waiting for her. And it was that moment when I learned that courage comes first and then confidence comes after that. So with a lot of students and a lot of groups that I work with, I do this exercise called the courage bucket, which is all about how do you access the courage that you have within you? And we forget that we've all done courageous and brave things. I know a lot of international students that I work with underestimate how courageous they are to have left their home country and come to another country. They just sort of forget that that's even a courageous and brave thing to do. I help students in accessing that space of courage, and I call it the courage bucket. And I think when I was younger, I didn't realize that my courage bucket was down on the ground, and I kind of kept tripping over it, not realizing it was there. And once I realized that, oh, okay, I have this thing called a courage bucket, I can remember a time when I was courageous, even if it was yesterday or if it was 10 years ago, it doesn't matter. Remember that time, picture it really vividly in your mind, go back there in your mind. And what happens is your courage bucket refills immediately. And then, like the ice bucket challenge, I get the students to pick their courage bucket up, tip it over their head, and feel that courage falling all over your body, right? Now, sometimes there are times where you need extra courage. And in those times, you can go back, refill your courage bucket, find another time or the same time, and your courage bucket is immediately refilled. Take that, pour it over your head like the ice bucket, and the courage and the sense of calm that people feel from doing that exercise. Courage is such a powerful tool that we never even think about. We kind of are waiting for the outcome, but never go, okay, how do we build those skills? How do we build that space of courage so that we can have those 20 seconds of insane courage to go and do something that then changes lives?
How do you turn that into a habit?
Oh, I love that.
Right?
Yeah.
Because like it's one thing to be like, okay, in the moment I need this thing. I'm going to give myself courage. I love the visualization, by the way. Like straight away I feel that running through my body. So amazing technique. But building a muscle around that.
Yeah. Lots of reminders for yourself. Like I am the sticky note queen. I love sticky notes. I have them everywhere in my house. I have a whole bunch of ones in the shape of a heart, right? Because I think when we do something that's a reminder to yourself, do it with love. Yeah. So I have sticky notes all around my house, on the mirror in the bathroom, beside my bed, the things that I want to turn into a habit. Right? Because a habit takes time to become a habit, right? Like there's some saying that says 21 days to a habit. It's more like 45 or 90, yeah? And those reminders lose their efficiency and their effectiveness very quickly. So put a reminder in your phone. When that's no longer effective, use a sticky note. When that's no longer effective, use something else. Yeah. The other way that we can do things is with kind of like negative reinforcement, which sounds kind of weird, but like a rubber band on the wrist, for example. All right. Now, not a tight one, a loose rubber band. And I've used this for a lot of people that have some seriously bad self-talk, right? Because a lot of people have that. I used to have it a lot. And so by putting a rubber band on the wrist, anytime that self-talk starts getting really negative, you can just do a little snap on the rubber band on your wrist, yeah? And what that does is it sort of starts shocking your brain into going, oh, hold on a second, I'm actually doing that thing. Then you can make some better decisions. Okay, I'm doing that thing. What is it that I want to be doing instead? Because it's very easy to get caught into that cycle of doing the same thing over and over
the loops.
again. Yes.
I totally feel it. Like at the moment, I've been too stressed. Too many things going on. Like we're building an edtech startup. Like too many things, overwhelmed with stress. And the thing, just what resonated for me is like the thing that shocked me out of it. If I'm really stressed up to my eyeballs, I'll jump in a cold shower.
Perfect.
Because you can't be anything but present under that water, and you're just there going, ouch, 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 get me out of here. True?
So true.
We're having a ball, aren't we?
Oh, because I had the visual, and I don't want to have the visual of you naked in the shower, but I did have the visual of you jumping around in the shower, going,
so painful.
"Ooh."
You know, it's so true. It's such an awkward experience, and you think that gets easier over time. No, it's never. Like a cold shower is never a pleasant experience.
Correct.
And it's enough just to shock your brain out of that loop. So I can see how that's snapping. Well, is there something else? Anything else, like snapping of the wristband? Is there something else that you can do or techniques that you know of to just snap us out of that moment?
I mean, there's heaps of them that you can use. Like, we do a lot of 90-second dance breaks because like anything that can change your state, right? Anything at all. So a 90-second dance break, like even when you change your physiology, the way you are holding yourself, if you are at home and you're slouched, just by getting up and changing your physiology changes your psychology. It can snap you out of things. It can move state very, very easily.
G'day, it's Rob here. Hey, are you a parent or a carer of a student that's thinking of going to uni in the years ahead? Did you know that Choosing Your Uni has a whole bunch of resources that are just for people like you? And you can find those at parents.choosingyouruni.com. You're going to find things like links to our Facebook community, downloadable worksheets, and heaps of advice by parents for parents. It's all the sort of stuff that you need to help guide your student on their journey to uni and beyond. Check it out now, parents.choosingyouruni.com.
Can we go there right now? So, of course, people listening along won't have seen what you just did there, but I did. So we're kind of leaning into each other a little bit. In fact, you got quite good posture, but you really sat up tall. You opened yourself out. Can you talk about that body language, like how the body drives the mind?
Yeah, absolutely. There is a massive connection between the way that you hold yourself. Like a confident person isn't hunched over and hasn't got their head down and isn't sort of trying to hide in the corner, right? And you can sort of fake your way confident sometimes by literally putting your posture into a position of a confident person. A confident person stands strong and tall, shoulders back, head up, all that kind of thing. And, feet a little bit apart. I've done this with students where we've had them, standing feet together in that sort of slumpy position. And I can walk around and with the touch of a feather, knock them over, right? Get them off balance and off kilter. As soon as they get into that confident position, I have to push really hard to be able to get them to move at all, right? So it's that connection between the strength of body and the strength of mind.
It's like you need to be confident in order to become confident.
Correct.
Is that right?
Yeah. And the pathway to that is through courage.
I like that. Yeah, beautiful. So tell me more about what you guys are working on and how that intersects with students. Like, how do people engage with this kind of stuff?
Yeah. So we're working on a whole bunch of stuff. Some of our new stuff is around some pre-recorded, like on-demand programs, short bits of content, less than 10 minutes. They all, unfortunately, include a 90-second dance break. That is, unfortunately, again, of me dancing. I created this thing called the Student Comfy Dance.
Student Comfy Dance.
Comfy Dance, because why
would...
Comfy
dance. Comfy as in confident. I'm with you.
Like
yeah,
confidence,
okay.
Right? The Student Comfy
Dance. The Comfy Dance. I'm a bit slow.
Well, look... in Melbourne we're snappy on it. But
I know, I'm from
Student
Sydney.
Comfy
Don't hold it
Dance,
against me.
Right? So wrote this song, and it's reminders, right, of breathing down to your belly, connect to your heart, all that kind of thing, right? All these different things. It talks about having a power pose. It talks about all that kind of stuff. And because of technology, I sent it over to somebody who AI'd it. I think that's a word now, into 10 different versions. So now we have a Taylor Swift version, a C-pop, a K-pop, a hip-hop, a Latin version, and Adele, like all the different versions. So the online course includes the Student Comfy Dance.
Done by Taylor Swift. Or to Taylor Swift.
Well, it's the likes of Taylor Swift.
I'm with you.
Taylor Swift-esque.
I gotcha.
Yeah.
This is so good.
It's silly, right? And I think we need more silly.
I totally agree with you, and people may have heard me say this before on various podcasts, but at heart, I'm an introvert. And by introvert, I don't mean I'm shy. I'm not a shy introvert, but my energy comes from stick me out in the bush for 2 hours, run by myself, refill my brain with good vibes, and I'm ready to go. But yeah, so you put me in a room with people and suddenly, and I really find that just like being comfortable just to have a laugh or do something a little bit quirky or silly is just so liberating.
Yes.
You suddenly realise we've got all these constructs all around us.
Everywhere. And everything is like, there's a lot of fear in society. There's a lot of all that kind of stuff. And I think we need to turn that stuff around, right? Because fear does not allow people to be their true, authentic selves. Right? Fear is the coat that we wear that is like sometimes that coat of invisibility, or it's the layers of protection that we put over the top of us. And like, I am silly and I get that. And it's been a challenge in my business to go, actually, the work that we're doing is very serious. The way I deliver it is very silly and fun. But it's super, super, super impactful because there is some lightness to it. And I think, the words mental health are very heavy and got a lot of stigma and all that sort of stuff. And we can still have those amazing outcomes and impact for students and for people without that stigma, with having a lot of lightness around conversations. I mean, angels fly because they take themselves lightly, right?
Love it.
And I think we need to just bring more of that lightness in.
So, Anita, what can we do better as international educators to support students on this journey?
How much time do you have?
Actually, we've got plenty of time.
I think there is actually, there's a bucket of stuff that we can do differently, especially in the international education space. The first thing is please, please, please remove the words mental health from everything. I know you want to have mental health month, mental health week, all that kind of stuff. Please remove it. There is generations worth of stigma that is fighting against you. So let's use something else. Let's use Confidence Week. Let's use something, anything else, right? Rather than focusing on the problem, let's focus on what the solution is.
Yeah, the after state, right?
Yes.
Of course. You're so right.
Thank you.
We do that all the time, don't we?
Look, I did a program once with an accommodation provider and they wanted to call it Mental Health Matters Program. And I said, please do not call it Mental Health Matters Program. You're working with international students. They said, no, it's fine. Our university partner has done a lot of work on stigma, blah, blah, blah. I said, please don't you do it. They did. I said, pretty please, cherries on top, sprinkles, all of that. Please don't use the words Mental Health Matters. They did. We had hardly anybody turn up, right?
Even with the sprinkles on top.
Even with the sprinkles on top, right? The words are so powerful.
Loaded. Yeah, it's true.
We ran a workshop once at an accommodation provider called How to Make Friends Fast. Because, right? Yeah, good.
People buy outcomes.
Yes, but the problem was students, how many came? 0 donuts. We had crickets, right? So I looked at it, asked a few students, and they said, yeah, love the idea. I'm never going to admit that I don't know how to make friends, right? So I went, cool. Went back the next week. We called it Networking for Success.
Love it.
How many were in the room? Chockers. So in that workshop, we talked about all the skills that you need to start conversations, do all that kind of stuff in a networking environment. Then at the end, I said to them, where else could you use these skills? Oh, yeah, maybe you could use it at a party. Oh, yeah, maybe you could use it at uni. Maybe you could use it in O Week. Maybe, oh, yeah, that's a good idea, right? The language is everything.
Isn't it funny? Like, I started off by acknowledging, like, yeah, you got to sell the outcome. And then I've literally straight into exactly the same problem.
Yes.
Right? 2
Yes.
seconds later.
Yes.
I'm like, yeah, awesome.
Yeah, great.
How to make friends.
Yeah. But then you've got to look at, okay, what's the stigma around that?
What's the stigma around that? Of
Right?
course. Yeah.
Because no one
So
wants to
tricky.
be like, Scott Neville, right? Scott no friends never will. Nobody wants to be Scott Neville. Nobody wants to admit that they don't know how to make friends, even though nobody knows how to make friends. So there's all of those kind of things. I think the other thing that universities, tertiary education providers, the world, the universe can do better is the focus on prevention. We are so reactive to mental health issues and conditions, and we forget to be preventative. We forget that if we prevent somebody from having problems, then they are so much more likely to stay at university, succeed at university, make friends at university, all of that kind of thing. That prevention space is everything.
Do you feel that's changing? And be honest here, so I'm no longer directly inside a university, and I feel like there's a lot more talk. But whether or not that reflects to action on the ground, I don't know. It's a genuine question.
Glacial speed, I think, is the speed of change. There are some providers who embrace it. There are some providers who are very much talking about it. And at the practitioner level, I think it's well recognised that, yes, we need to be doing more at that preventative space. The challenge is when it gets higher up, because that's not how we've always done it, which is the most dangerous words in the world. That's not how we've done it. 6 words. Incredibly dangerous. The reason that they're that's so dangerous, because if that's the way that, not the way we've always done it, well, that way we've done it is got us to this result where there's mental health issues up the wazoo. There's students that, are maybe scraping through that could be really excelling. And in light of caps coming in and all that kind of stuff, we need to be doing as much as possible to keep students, to keep them here, to keep them engaged, to keep them well and happy, for lack of better words, so that they can continue their studies.
Oh, I so agree with you.
The 6 words of doom.
The 6 words of doom. I mean, those 6 words, yeah, that's not how we've done it.
Always done it.
Always done it. Yeah, that's such a dangerous territory.
Oh, it's horrific.
Yeah, I know. It's interesting, actually, isn't it? Once you're outside that formal structure, firstly, it's hard. It's great having that structure around you. Big institutions are amazing to work with and inside, but it's also, just getting things to move. It's like turning the big ship is very hard.
Yes, that's exactly the picture I have in my head as well. It's like this
big steamship,
massive ship that needs to turn around. And it's not easy. I've been working on this for now 7 years, flying the flag, going, prevention.
What's been the best moment in those 6-7 years where suddenly you just went, fist pump, yes?
Oh, there's been heaps of them. Student outcomes always is the best. And some of those just leave me bawling my eyes out in tears.
Can you share one?
Yeah, of course. I had one student who, from China, had I think, his father had died, wasn't able to go back home, carrying a lot of guilt. There was not a lot of sort of emotional stuff in the family anyway. And we did a session at the end of a program that I ran around dealing with difficult memories. And powerful, right? This was on Zoom. Powerful, powerful, powerful stuff. He wrote me a very long message on LinkedIn the next day. I started reading it, bawled my eyes out, had to go back, started reading it, bawled my eyes out again to say, thank you so much. I feel like you're so connected to you. You've helped me so much. I can now deal with the fact that my dad is not here, has passed away. It's just made the world of difference. And you just go, like, nothing to do with his studies, but everything to do with his studies, right? That kid, I met him then at an in-person event, and he came up and hugged me, and he said to me, Anita, you're the first person I've ever hugged.
Wow.
And I said, what, like, what about your mum? He said, no. He said, no, you're the first person I've ever hugged. I had to teach him how to hug because he did not know how to hug. He was kind of like Sheldon.
Pretty good life still.
Amazing. Yeah. Amazing, right? Other students that have, gone on to do amazing amounts of public speaking, international conferences and stuff because we've helped them with the confidence skills to get past themselves.
Okay, so we've talked about a couple of changes, but if you could wave a magic wand, and you'd be good with a magic wand,
I love a magic wand.
If you could wave a magic wand, what's the change that you would make? It could be any change in our industry to improve that student experience, anything at all.
Yeah. I think the big one for me, for student experience, would be orientation. I think orientation is awesome and it's wonderful if you are an extrovert, and it's hellhole if you are an introvert, and it is like trying to receive a drink from a fire hose, right? Like there's so much information that students get thrown at them during O Week, and then after that it's kind of like this virtual desert. And that's not a useful, healthy or helpful way for students to be able to receive information about the services that are available, all the kinds of different things, just to have everything thrown at you all at once. So I think O Week needs a bit of a revamp, and we know students are coming. So let's prepare them better before they leave home.
What would an amazing experience look like in your opinion?
In my opinion, I think we need to be looking after students all the way through, like pre-departure. And there's different stages, right? Different students have different needs at different stages. So there is that pre-departure. There's that very early arrival. There's that, a little bit later on. And the needs are really different for those different students at different stages, different intervals. But we treat them like international students or students, right? And I think we can get better at being more bespoke is maybe not the right word, but having what the students need at the time that they need it. Because when we set students up for failure by throwing everything at them all at once, then it's no wonder they ignore our emails, right? Because the stuff that we give to them, is it really relevant? Well, not really, so I'm just going to ignore it.
I imagine cultural nuance is really important in that too, right? Adjusting for different cohorts from different backgrounds.
Yeah. It is. I think that there's that cultural nuance 100%. I think it's less than we actually believe it is.
That's interesting. Tell me more.
Yeah. The work that I do in student confidence, we look at human behaviour. So culture is sort of like, I sort of look at it like culture is the topsoil. Underneath that is the depths of humans, the roots and all that kind of stuff. And at that level, humans are very, very, very similar.
Yeah, that's true, isn't it? Well, I never thought about that before in that way.
It's really interesting that, when we've done programs where we've had domestic students and international students together and staff, it's really interesting when you're talking about those deeper things that every person in the room is nodding their head all at the same time. It doesn't matter what culture they're from. It doesn't matter age. It doesn't matter anything. If we're talking about beliefs, for example, universal.
Can I ask, how do you get down to that sort of meaningful level relatively quickly? Because, you workshop, that kind of context, you don't have that much time to build trust and to actually get through the topsoil layers, as you say, down to the really meaty stuff.
Students are desperately hungry for it. Desperately hungry. Yeah. Like way more hungry than I thought. They are super interested in talking about energy, which shocked me. They're super interested in talking about things like love, even though it's scary. And I don't mean romantic love. I mean like self-love. And how can you love society? How can you get from a space from fear into love? Talking about those things, students are desperately hungry for that information. They want to know this stuff. They want to understand themselves better. They want to be able to use that to understand other people better. They want this. And it's because students at that age and that age bracket are in this space called results. So there's different stages in human development. The first one is reliance, babies. They rely on us for everything. Then there's the rebellion. Then there's results. And then there's this other stage called realization, which is, your Mother Teresa's, right? So in result stage, students are hungry for learning about themselves, personal development, all that kind of stuff. They want to know, they want to understand. It's not even a difficult thing to dive in deep really quickly because they want it. Now, I have tested this not just in workshops, but in the classroom as a teacher as well. So I've been doing some teaching with a couple of institutions and domestic students, international students, big mix, all that kind of thing, and taking some time out of the teaching to talk about these deeper things. Students love it.
So you just kind of getting straight down into it.
Yes.
Can you share some language? I'm sorry, I'm being a bit selfish here.
No, please
as someone who facilitates a lot.
Yeah.
And for me, it's also something that I love about this podcast is the moment that somebody says, I never thought about that before.
Oh my God, it's the greatest thing ever.
You've touched something.
Yes.
You've reached a point where, but to me, I find it's hard to kind of, you got to, well, sorry, I'm talking for me. This is why I'm just love to know the secret. The secrets behind the curtain. But I find it it takes time to build that trust up in a conversation. But you're saying, no, you can get there pretty quickly.
It was super quick.
So what do you say? What do you do? What's the activity?
I don't know exactly, but what I can hazard a guess is that I go in assuming that they want this. I don't go in assuming that I have to bloody tiptoe. I go in assuming that these students are hungry for this information. They want this information. They want to learn about themselves. And so I don't need to tiptoe. We can talk about some really big things, but in a light way, right? Big doesn't have to mean heavy. You can have a big ball of feathers, but it's not heavy, right? And we can take those concepts and have jokes about it and things fun and have laughter. The 90-second dance breaks absolutely help halfway through. Like in a 90-minute workshop, we have a 90-second dance break, right? And the students freak out? Yes. Some of them do it. Most of them do. Some of them don't. Of course. Over time, though, in a program, students kind of go, okay, this is actually a really safe space to do this. And look, one of the challenges, and it's good problems to have, is that we have students that sometimes kind of overshare almost, right? That's a problem. It's sometimes a good problem, bad problem. And we consistently have workshops that go over time because students just want to keep asking questions. Because when you start, when you open that doorway to understanding themselves and others, they're like, oh my God, give me more.
So let me ask on that one then, so for the student, because people who facilitate a lot or run classes run into this all the time. So I'd be interested to know your take on it. How do you sensitively move on from that student who just wants to keep going and keep going and keep going?
Yeah. That was part
Or sorry, pardon me, not just necessarily a student, but you're facilitating a group.
A human, yes.
A human that wants...
Yes. And look, we've all had that, right? Where you have to, and I have been I think truthfulness is underrated. And I have said to participants, thank you so much. I love that you want to have this much interaction, but I also want to make sure that we can hear from other people. Would that be okay? And get their approval for that. Yeah. So that then if you have to go back to them, then you've already got their approval, basically, right? So it is a good problem. It's a challenging one when you've got the same person just digging in. But having those truthful conversations, right? Like some people are blissfully unaware that they are taking over the whole conversation. Making them aware gives them that opportunity to make different decisions.
Definitely experienced that where, with a group of full-grown adults, people professional in their field, and someone's just talking and talking and talking, completely unaware, and as a facilitator standing there being like, oh shit,
how do I deal with this?
You can see you've lost everybody, or you're about to lose everyone, so you need to take action.
Yep.
And that's where, in fact, it's just landed on my head, that's where your confidence as a facilitator needs to come in, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's part of that space also of facilitator body language, right? Where you kind of have to be a bully, for lack of better words. You've got to give them a bit of a bully with the hand gestures, a choppy chop kind of thing.
Choppy chop.
Right?
So for those listening along, Anita is giving it the chop. Like she's chopping spinach on the counter.
Whatever, just the choppy chop, right? And turn away from them, right? To let them know, yep, you're here, I know that, but I also have got the rest of the room as well, yeah? And I need to make sure that... So there's all kinds of tips and tools like that. Like being what I thought was a naturally shy person, I went to facilitator training, and it was the best and the worst experience of my life all at once, because I literally had to kind of break down and rebuild. Right? It was so totally transformative, that breaking down and building back up again. That's why I now do presentation skills, right? Because we're not one-dimensional. And I think we get very stuck in that space of, okay, this is my persona and this is the only one. And so when we help students realize that they have got, the rock star persona in them, and they've got the queen or the king persona, and they've got all these different parts of them that they can use when they're presenting or in live, then it starts opening up all these doors for them as far as, okay, well, that's who I thought I was, but this is who I can be.
Anita, for somebody that's listening along to this, a student, let's say high school student, they feel like they haven't got the confidence that they'd like to have. What are a couple of easy things that they could do to get started on a journey towards feeling more confident in themselves?
Yep. That courage bucket exercise is my number one. Absolute number one go-to, because embracing that means that then you can build that courage to take that very first step. The next thing is self-talk. Self-talk has stopped more of anything that has ever started before in its life. Yeah. So starting creating awareness of what your self-talk is. I know my self-talk back when I was very, very shy and scared in the world, my self-talk was always all around, I'm not good enough, I can't, the answer is no before the question is even asked, all that kind of stuff, right? So creating awareness around what my self-talk was meant that then I could make decisions as to how much of that I wanted to listen to, and giving my self-talk like a persona outside of myself.
Oh, I like that.
Yes.
What's your self-talk persona? Can you share? Or is that a personal thing?
No, it's not at all.
You said you're an open book. So.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I'm happy to answer any questions, especially about this stuff, because my self-talk persona back then was a very hunched over, like the typical, little girl, blonde hair, very kind of timid and scared, sort of hiding in the corner, and just couldn't, right? It was like she didn't even have a voice, yeah? Even if she tried to speak, there was no words that could come out. It was all of that. So recognizing that as, that's not me, that's voice, that self-talk over there, meant that then there's a distance between her and me, and I could help her grow. And she could also then help me realise, well, okay, I'm stuck here, maybe, but I don't have to be here. Yeah, so really changing up the perception of who you are, yeah, because we're not who we think we are.
That's so true, like just as you were talking there, what sort of made me think about was like this soundtrack that's constantly in our heads.
Oh, my God.
By default, you don't control the soundtrack. It's just playing in the background. This voice going blah 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 blah. And as you like, a lot of it's negative, right? Like, oh, what'd you do that? You idiot! You stupid thing! Oh, I dropped that. I forgot this. Blah 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 blah. And but when we do stop and consciously pay attention, we do control that voice. We can be like, oh, I want to put on Taylor Swift. Like, let's put on some power music. Let's shake it up, baby. Let's go do that.
Yeah.
And in fact, the more that we consciously step into that space where we play DJ,
Yes.
the more the choice of music starts to change. Listen to these metaphors. I'm just flowing here.
I love it. I love it.
I should freestyle.
You should.
I should get into freestyle.
You totally do. But it's true, right? Like,
It's
you know,
true.
we want to have a great life, but we're tuned into My Life Sucks FM, right? And then we wonder why the radio isn't playing My Life is Awesome. But we've tuned our radio and put sticky tape there to stick it in place on My Life Sucks.
It's probably why that. I haven't done it, but I've heard good things about transcendental meditation, like the chant. Have you done that? Have you tried
I
that?
haven't.
But yeah, the
I know.
mantra style where you chant, you basically have a mantra that you just play over and over and over in your mind. I often thought that would be good for me.
I have done a lot of different meditation. I've done a lot of healing of old stuff because we've all got old stuff, right? And when you take the courage, because it is a lot of energy to do that kind of work, but when you take the courage to move beyond all of that stuff that you've had, the troubles that you've had, the this that you've had, the parents, the this, all that kind of stuff, then with that comes this massive amount of freedom, and freedom to be you, whatever that is, right? Like when I saw you at at a conference recently, I was wearing like bright yellow pants.
Yeah, you were popping. Yeah.
Right? Now, I don't know that young me would have gone around, like, 25-year-old me would not have gone around in bright yellow pants because they draw attention, right? 25-year-old me was wear dark colours and blend in with the trees.
Maybe a 25-year-old me was going to his first conference, and I wore my Cobra.
Yeah.
Nobody told me any different. Nobody told me I shouldn't be wearing I was wearing a suit with a tie.
Yeah.
Still wore my Cobra. Nobody told me any different. Actually, you know how lucky it was that my boss was cool? Davina, love you. Thank you so much. She was there. She was just like, oh, okay, he's just wearing a hat. That's fine.
Yeah.
And let me do it. But imagine, now I'm really reflecting on that. Like if somebody had actually said, my boss had said to me, you know what, Rob, lose a hat.
Yeah.
And as it is now, 20 plus years later, I can walk into anywhere with my hat on and there you go. I feel confident about it.
And you're the hat guy.
I am the hat guy.
Yeah.
Isn't that amazing? So it's not just about us and how we look after ourselves, but it's also how we empower others to just be themselves.
Be themselves. That's it. That's it. And that space of empowerment, I think that's the other thing that we need to shift with, I don't know what the right word is, but influencers, is allowing us to have that space of being ourselves. For young people, there is a lot of, influencers, and it doesn't allow for that space of be who you want to be, right? It is very prescriptive, and if you don't look this way, then you're not one of us, and all that kind of thing. And, belonging is a very, very, very important thing for humans. It's one of our core needs, is to belong.
Anita, where can people find you if they're looking for more of this good stuff?
Yeah, sure. So we're on all of the social media channels. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, we're on LinkedIn, YouTube, pretty much anywhere. Just look for Student Confidence.
So I'll find a Student Confidence if I go to TikTok.
You may.
I may. Awesome. You know what? There's something totally viral in that where it gets picked up and everyone does their Student Confidence. I'm going to do a
that would be
confidence.
amazing. I'd love that.
Yeah, well, you need to post one, and then what I'll do is I'll pick that up and I'll do my confidence.
You're on.
And
you
then
are
I'll
so on.
pass that on to other people in mind. Let's do that.
Let's do it. Let's do it.
You
I
heard
would
it
love
here
that.
first, folks. Us contriving to try and
get people to do 90 seconds worth of
90
Student
seconds worth
Confidence.
of confidence.
Yeah.
This podcast is called Choosing Your Uni, and I get the feeling that people don't necessarily feel confident about their decision about choosing uni. It's a hard thing to do, let's face it.
It's a life-changing decision for many people. So,
any tips?
Yeah, absolutely. Making decisions is a difficult thing, and oftentimes people procrastinate until they have to do something and then go, that one, right? So I had that same challenge as well.
I don't know what you're talking about.
Not at all. No. No decision-making by procrastination. Never, right? So because of that, I created this little 2-step decision-making process, formula, in fact. And it's awesome and it works. I've used it for myself. I've used it for my private clients as well. And if you'd like, I will share it with you.
I'd love to hear it.
Okay. So step 1 is, Ask yourself, what is the worst reasonable thing that would happen if I do this thing? So if I choose to go to this university, what is the worst reasonable thing? When you're writing this down, folks, please underline, highlight, bold the word reasonable. Because if you just say what's the worst thing that can happen, oh my God, worlds will explode.
I will die. Yeah.
Correct. Well, not just you, the whole world.
True. Yeah, true.
Everything will explode, yeah? What's the worst reasonable thing that will happen? Write yourself down an answer to that. Then the question number 2 is, if that worst reasonable thing happens, can I handle it? Can I handle it? If the worst reasonable thing happens, can I handle the outcome of that? Now, if the answer is no, I can't handle it, do not proceed. If the answer is yes, I can handle it, go for it, right? The great thing about decision making is that we will never know what would have happened if we'd try something else. The other great thing about decision making is that most decisions can be changed or reversed. Yeah? Like tattoos used to be permanent, you can get those removed as well. If you've made a bad decision on a tattoo, you can get it removed or covered over, all kinds of things, right? That's the 2-step process. That makes decision making incredibly easy. I've used it myself to quit jobs that were really awful that I hated. I've used it to all kinds of things. So 2 steps.
So really actionably for somebody who's listening along, they're in the process of choosing their uni, they're not sure, confident about their decision, how would they use those 2 steps?
They would literally ask themselves, okay, if I want to choose, do I want to go to this university? What would be the worst reasonable thing if I go to that university? Write it down. If that worst reasonable thing happened, can I handle it?
Chances are the answer is yes. I'm just
I
reflecting.
think, well, humans can handle a whole lot more than we
Yeah.
give ourselves credit for, just quietly. Just quietly, we can handle a whole lot more than what we give ourselves credit for.
Anita, this has been an amazing conversation. Thanks for joining me on the Choosing Your Uni podcast.
I have had an absolute blast. Thank you so much.
At Choosing Your Uni, our mission is to make finding your ideal institution and your degree fun, easy and stress-free. So if you're looking to save some time, to discover more and to get personalised advice for every step of your journey, check out choosingyouruni.com. Our theme music is composed by Pasha Shogi and his band Flow, and this episode has been researched and constructed on Garigal land in Sydney. Until next time, have yourself an awesome day.